In the autumn of 1983, the English village of Dore, near Sheffield, was the picture of calm. Tree-lined streets, cozy homes, a community where people rarely locked their doors. But one October night, something unthinkable happened. Inside a family home, hours after a wedding celebration, joy turned into blood-soaked terror. 3 people were brutally murdered. A young woman was raped and left alive, the only witness to horror. The killer? A man already on the run, a fugitive with a violent past. He called himself the Fox. This is the story of Arthur Hutchinson, one of Britain's most chilling murderers, and the nationwide manhunt that ended his reign of terror. The Wedding Night Murders. How Arthur Hutchinson terrorized Britain. Arthur Hutchinson was born on February 19, 1941, in Hartlepool, a quiet town on England's northeast coast. He grew up in a large, working-class family, but even as a child, there was something off about him. At just 7 years old, he did something unthinkable. He stabbed one of his own sisters. The wound was not fatal, but the warning signs were clear. By his teens, Arthur was already in trouble with the law, theft, assault, and break-ins. He learned how to lie, manipulate, and charm. People who met him said he could switch from polite and friendly to menacing in an instant. His adult life was a carousel of crime and prison time. In 1971, he shot at his half-brother, narrowly missing him. Years later, he would be caught for burglary and assault. But every time he was caught, he'd talk his way out or find a way to slip through the cracks. By the early 1980s, he was a career criminal, drifting across England, surviving off theft and lies. He didn't have a steady home, only safe houses and stolen cars. And behind those blue eyes, something darker was growing, an anger against the world, a hunger for control. On September 28, 1983, Hutchinson was arrested in Selby, North Yorkshire. Police suspected him of burglary, car theft, and possibly even rape. He was taken to Selby Magistrates' Court for a routine hearing. He seemed calm, polite, even. He asked the officer if he could use the toilet before being taken back to his cell. They agreed. But the moment the guard turned his back, Hutchinson made his move. He climbed out of the toilet window, handcuffed, and dropped onto a barbed wire fence below. The metal tore deep into his leg, slicing his knee open. He didn't stop. He limped away into the fields and disappeared. For 3 weeks, he hid across the countryside, sleeping in barns, sheds, abandoned houses. The police launched a nationwide manhunt, but Arthur knew how to vanish. He stole food, clothes, and would break into homes just to watch the people inside before quietly slipping away. He was wounded, hungry, and desperate. And on the night of October 22, 1983, he found himself walking toward the peaceful suburb of Dore, near Sheffield. The Leitner family lived on Muirlands Drive. Basil, Averill, and their children Suzanne, Richard, and Nicola. That day had been one of the happiest of their lives. Their eldest daughter, Suzanne, had just married. Family and friends had gathered for a warm, elegant garden wedding. Laughter, champagne, photographs, the glow of new beginnings. By nightfall, the guests had gone home. The house was quiet. The Leitners, exhausted but happy, went to bed. Around midnight, the Fox arrived. Arthur Hutchinson crept toward the house. A glass door at the back hadn't been locked properly, easy entry. He slipped inside silently, knife in hand. Upstairs, 28-year-old Richard Leitner slept peacefully in his bed. Arthur moved quickly. He stabbed him multiple times in the chest and neck. Richard never had a chance. Down the hall, his father, Basil, heard the noise. He came out of his bedroom and met the killer on the staircase. Arthur slashed his throat. Basil's body fell down the stairs, blood spreading across the carpet. Then, Arthur turned toward Avril. She had just woken, confused by the sound. He attacked her viciously, 26 stab wounds. When he was finished, the home was silent again, except for one sound: footsteps coming from another room. 18-year-old Nicola Leitner, the youngest child, woke to a nightmare. Before she could understand what was happening, Arthur was there covered in blood, knife still dripping. He grabbed her, dragged her down the stairs past the bodies of her parents. He handcuffed her, and then raped her, multiple times. When he was done, he told her he wouldn't kill her, as long as she didn't scream. Then he vanished into the night. Nicola, traumatized and barely able to move, crawled to a neighbor's house for help. She was the sole survivor of the Dore massacre. By dawn, police were everywhere. The crime scene was chaos: blood, broken glass, overturned furniture. But inside the horror, clues remained. On a champagne glass from the wedding, a palm print. On a block of cheese in the kitchen, a perfect bite mark. Both matched one man, Arthur Hutchinson. The nationwide manhunt reignited with fury. Helicopters scoured fields. Checkpoints appeared across counties. Police warned the public, do not approach him. He is armed and extremely dangerous. Detectives knew they were dealing with a narcissist who wanted control, who craved attention. They started watching his family, especially his elderly mother in Hartlepool. They believed he couldn't resist reaching out to her. And they were right. On November 5, 1983, after weeks on the run, Hutchinson was spotted near a field in Hartlepool, not far from his mother's home. Over 400 officers surrounded the area. Search dogs, helicopters, floodlights. When they found him, Hutchinson tried to fight. He pulled out his knife and, in a final, pathetic act, stabbed himself in the stomach. He survived, but his freedom was over. After 39 days on the run, the fox was caught. In September 1984, Hutchinson faced trial at Sheffield Crown Court. He denied everything. He claimed the police framed him. He even accused a local journalist of committing the murders. The evidence, however, was overwhelming. Palm print, bite mark, forensics, Nicola's testimony. After 4 hours of deliberation, the jury found him guilty on all charges: triple murder, rape, and burglary. The judge sentenced him to life in prison. But later, the Home Secretary made it official: Arthur Hutchinson would die behind bars. He was one of the first prisoners in Britain given a whole life tariff. No parole, no release, ever. From his prison cell, Hutchinson continued to fight the system. For decades, he launched appeal after appeal, claiming his sentence was inhuman. In 2013, he took his case to the European Court of Human Rights, arguing that whole life sentences were cruel. But in 2017, the ruling came back. Britain had the right to keep him locked away forever. Arthur Hutchinson would never walk free again. Today, he's an old man, his name barely remembered by the public. But for those who lived through it, especially Nicola Leitner, the memory never faded. Arthur Hutchinson called himself the Fox. He thought he was clever, untouchable, a hunter. But in the end, it wasn't cunning that defined him. It was cruelty, a lifetime of violence that ended in one family's nightmare. And though his body will rot in a prison cell, his crimes still echo in the quiet streets of Dore. Because evil doesn't always arrive in the dark. Sometimes, it's already inside, waiting for the door to be left open. If you found this story chilling, subscribe for more real-life mysteries and dark history on MindPop.